unforgiving. The stage is set for the Global Rallycross Championship on ESPN.
And we're going to go racing here at X Games Munich. When the greens come on, Achtung Fahrerlager. In second place is Thomas Heikkinen. Heikkinen is trying to go through, and he leads. The youngster from Finland is flying. That's one thing you've got to remember. If you want to win, get a fin.
Ready to launch here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Heikkinen knows he really has to start charging hard. And off bounce Giant. Oh no! Toby Heikkinen takes the turn. Heikkinen is going to win in New Hampshire.
Orange flag, and they are off. Sandell got punted out of the way. Toby Heikkinen is your leader. White flag is out. Can block catch him? Diving down to the final chicane. Victory in Thunder Valley. Toby Heikkinen wins his third global rallycross event in a row.
Isaacson leads. There's a big
No! He's looking to make it 4 in a row.
Is there no stopping this fin at the moment? This is a start not for the future. This is a start for the 21st century. And the man who is on top of the world here in Los Angeles is Thomas Heikkinen.
Welcome to Atlanta Motor Speedway and the Global Rallycross Championship. Hi everyone, I'm Tess Sewell along with Jen Horsey on another hot Georgia afternoon. The story here today is all about Thomas Heikkinen going for his 5th win at Global Rallycross and a potential to tie up the 2013 Global Rallycross Championship. But what I have to tell you, Jen, is that none of these other drivers are going to be kind to Toby in that quest.
Nobody's going to make it easy, and we've got a bit of a spoiler in the mix. We've got Henning Solberg for the first time in the championship. He's a rally driver. WRC fans will know his name, and he's Petter Solberg's elder brother. But what you might not know is he's been rallycrossing since he was a teenager. He's in the Dodge Dart number 99, and I think he's going to be a contender.
So in that Dodge Dart, Henning Solberg, look for this guy. Maybe a spoiler here today. The other story about Atlanta, it's got to be this track.
This track is crazy. 40% dirt, so much dirt, and it's really loose. Very hard to get traction, and it's running up. So, as we saw in practice earlier today, Ken Block really had a struggle. He caught a berm, went over on his roof, slid along the tarmac, knocked into the wall, and got back on 4 wheels. He's okay. His car's okay. We're going to see him in competition, but boy, this track is a challenge.
So let's see how Ken and all of the drivers handle this Atlanta track. A lot of fun here in store for you today. And for more on what's going on, let's go to the grid and Alyssa Roenig. Alyssa.
Yeah, thanks, Tess. Now, earlier today, we saw Toby Heikkinen struggle a bit in the start. We're used to seeing Toby completely avoid the messy chaos of these first corners. Now, as you see him here on the inside lane, he said the key, as always, is reaction time. But it was also for him about having the calm and the cool when he didn't get the whole shot, to staying back and not do anything stupid. Now, he came out in second place. He said he held back, listened for Isaacson's lap times. When he realized he could chase him down, took the Joker on the 3rd lap and did exactly that. Look for him to do the same thing out here. Also, if you've noticed, he's taken a different lane. You noticed drivers were getting a good jump from the inside lane, so maybe he has an even bigger advantage in this next race. Now to a newest member of our GRC team, Katie Osborne.
Thank you, Alyssa. And we are down here in the pits where there's a lot of action for one particular driver, Patrick Sandell. He is not quite sure yet if he will make the first out there. You know what? His car went out and it broke on the first time he got out in the heat. We're not entirely sure of what happened, but his car has been replaced with a new motor. We really look forward to seeing him out there on the track, but we are awaiting that confirmation.
Thanks, Katie. Hoping Sandell can get out here, but he really, those guys were working so hard to get the car ready, and that is a big task for all of them. Well, let's take a look at the Royal Purple starting grid for this heat, Jen.
Sverre Isaacson on the inside, Thomas Heikkinen in the middle, and Scott Speed on the outside there. Too bad we're not seeing Sandell, but boy, those guys were thrashing to get a motor, and maybe we'll see him for the LCQ.
Really interesting, as Alyssa was saying, that the inside line is where Thomas Heikkinen is sitting, and we saw in the earlier heats that there was a lot of pinching going on for that middle car. So if you don't get out there really quick, that might not be a smart place to be.
Very tough place to be in the middle. It's hard to pick any position on this track. You go inside, you got to defend your line, the guys might squeeze you. You go in the middle, you get pinched.
Here we go, and they go green. We are racing. We're off. Who gets the jump? Well, looks like Heikkinen is going to make it first to that corner, but Sverre Isaksson gives him a little nudge.
That was an aggressive move from Sverre, getting his nose underneath Heikkinen, but it actually just pushed him a little further out front, I think.
Well, what we didn't want to see is Topi Heikkinen getting such a massive lead. They both took the shortcut, the Joker. You have to do that once in every race, and they've both taken that, but Scott Speed didn't. So here we go, Topi Heikkinen in the lead, Sverre Isaksson chasing his down, and then Scott Speed.
It's tough on this track when somebody gets a big lead to claw anything back. It's reasonably narrow, and the ruts in the dirt make it very difficult to pass.
And so far, Heikkinen just starting to pull away from Sverre Isaksson, and Isaksson looks like he's in a little bit of trouble. Looked like he was pulling off the course there.
Yeah, Isaksson's not up to full speed. Definitely we're on board here with Topi Heikkinen as he heads toward the jump.
Wow.
That jump's interesting. They've got to brake a little bit going into it. It's got a big kick on it, and they're sort of being shot straight up into the air. So they've got to be careful or they can do some front-end damage.
And in this first heat, that is nicely groomed dirt. There are no gigantic ruts in there, but we saw through some of the heat races that it really did get deep. And now Scott Speed is ahead of Sverre Isaksson. Not sure why Isaksson pulled off to the side there.
You know, Isaksson's been having a little bit of car trouble today as we're on board with him, and we see all that water on his windshield. Maybe he's having some visibility problems. But
look at that. Scott Speed then took the Joker. That allowed him to get a big jump on Isaksson. So Speed comfortably in second place. 2 will transfer immediately through to the finals from this round. So that puts the ex-Formula 1 racer Speed in a fantastic position behind Topi Heikkinen.
And we've seen Speed struggle a little bit on these courses where the track is very inconsistent, and this is one of them. So that was a bit of luck there for Speed.
Here again on board with Heikkinen. You look at this quick left and right over this jump, which has proved a bunch of trouble for some racers, because we saw some guys, when this jump gets worn out, they really fly skyward and into the front end.
They do. Their strategy and technique in every corner here. There we have Topi Heikkinen. You can see on board how busy his hands are as he steers, feeds in the steer and the counter steer through the corners, going up through the gears, gearing down as he gets into this corner around the hairpin, and now he'll get up some good speed as he comes to the gears. That's 4th. You can see the number in the middle of the dashboard coming into the chicane.
Just flicks through that chicane. It's amazing how much control they have over these cars when they're on such uneven terrain. All over this course, there are these gigantic rocks from the road base that's laid down there. That's because it drains so well. But Topi Heikkinen having no problem here in Atlanta.
And Scott Speed, the RDO car that we're seeing in the center of the screen right now, he is doing pretty well, I think, with these conditions. Not his forte, and I think he's putting in a good lap.
Sverre Isaksson is charging hard, trying to catch up to Speed, who had to jam on the brakes there.
As we see the white flag, that means they're heading into their final lap.
So there's Sverre Isaksson going hard in that Subaru, trying to catch up to the RDO Ford of Scott Speed. I don't think he's going to have enough in this last lap to catch him. We really need to find out what happened to Sverre Isaksson in that first lap that caused him to pull off to the side.
I'm not sure, but during the first heat, he had some damage to the front of his car in the intercooler. He may just not have had a lot of trust in the car.
Here we go. Topi Heikkinen comes through, takes that extra point for the heat win, and he will be through safely into the finals, as will Scott Speed. And Isaksson so close behind. That was a disastrous heat for him, but a great heat for Thomas Topi Heikkinen, who reigns supreme. He already has 4 wins in Global Rallycross this year.
Here, let's take another look at the start. Good start actually for Scott Speed, but he does not hold it out front there as this battle comes into the dirt section in the first corner. Very lucky for Heikkinen to land on 4 wheels after that.
And really looked like Isaksson kind of had nowhere to go. And take a look at this onboard there. You see the car of Thomas Heikkinen. Wow, how that didn't get pushed over on its roof, I have no idea.
That's like I said at the start, when you're on the inside there, you just got to avoid getting pinched, and he wasn't going to give up his line.
And we saw Ken Block had big troubles on this section. This is where he actually ended up on his roof, but somehow Häkkinen always manages to just hang on and fight his way through it.
So collected. You saw him on two wheels steering downhill to try and get some more grip. Just amazing.
Wow, great win there for Thomas Häkkinen. So he takes the heat, he moves directly through to the final, as does Scott Speed. Speed will have to be happy with that one. So GRC Supercar Heat 1 is in the books. Global Rallycross Championship is brought to you by Royal Purple, the performance oil that outperforms. And by Dodge Dart. Dodge, new rules.
I'm Taylor Fast, and this is the GoPro preview of Atlanta Motor Speedway Global Rallycross track. Start-finish line is right over the jump. Fourth gear, dip on the brakes. Oh, it's a hard hit. Down into third gear for the gravel. Try not to slide too much as we took into the first gravel chicane. A little dip, a little too far in on the little bumps. They're pretty fun though, to be honest. Little ladder splash, gets a little wheel spin. Hard on the brakes and into the hairpin. Down to second gear. Looking for the power round in the bank. Back into the chicane, looking for the jump. So that is one lap of this round's Global Rallycross. Atlanta Motor Speedway track. And it's loud, that's for sure.
Sure looked like he was having fun with all these other guys not chasing down in him. The second heat of GRC's supercar is on the grid there, ready to go. Just 5 races left until the chase for the Cup. The circuit heads to Watkins Glen as Jimmy Johnson and company look to tame the famous road course. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Watkins Glen. Sunday at noon on ESPN, also available on Watch ESPN. Well, you saw Topi Heikkinen racing in that last heat, and for more on Heikkinen, let's head down to Alyssa Roenig. Alyssa.
You said the start, it was all about the start. Take us through that first corner.
Yeah, I chose the second spot on the grid, and I know it was a big risk for me, but in case everything is right, like correct right now, my car is in one piece and everything is good. We have a pole right now on the final. In case on the start, I just like close the door, but then in case the Sverre coming a little bit pushed me on the door, but I was on the 2-wheel, but we are here on the one piece.
Woo indeed. Thanks, Topi. Back up to you guys.
Thanks, Alyssa. Well, Topi is looking absolutely masterful in this series so far, going for his 5th win tonight, but I know there are a couple of people in the field that hope to spoil that, right?
Yes. You know, nobody wants to see the same guy win every race, least of all the rest of these drivers. And looking at the grid there, Timur Timurzenov is in the number 4 spot, Bucky Lasek in the orange car. That's Steve Arpin.
And my man Bucky Lasek won 4 straight vert goals at X Games this year, took the Summer Slam. He's in that orange Subaru right in the middle of your screen. Really hopes to do well here today, but Ken Block on the far left, he's off. Who gets the jump? Looks like Block's gonna get it.
And Ken did a smart thing there. You saw him just creep inside a little bit to defend that inside line so he didn't get caught in a pinch. And that is a very smart tactical move on his part if he's going to start in that number 1 position.
So Ken Block breaks, goes for the Joker. Oh, Arpin follows him in. Lasek decides to take the long way around so he can hit that Joker later on in the race. But so far, Ken Block smooth out in front. He really seems to know how to take that jump so perfectly.
I feel like this jump causes the least trouble for Ken Block. His car's set up, it's originally WRC engineering into that chassis, WRC technology in the suspension, and it really jumps and turns well in this dirt, in the ruts, and he can take that jump pretty much flat out, which nobody else here can do. Everybody else has to brake and lift a little. And
so far in the series, Ken Block has done amazingly well. And I have to say this, in his heat races, typically, but then has had massive problems in the starts. He has been punted out of so many finals, I've actually almost lost count.
So many cars in the start, it's critical to be first off the line, and I think his reaction time is just not quite as fast, usually, as the guy beside him. So he can outdrive them if he gets a chance, but if he gets caught up in the first corner crunch, there's nothing he can do.
This is a good run for Arpin there in the Royal Purple Ford. He is trying to chase down Ken Block, but Ken looks super smooth, and we talked about this in seeding. A lot of guys we thought were slow were actually getting the better times here because that slow and steady pace through this very loose course really seems to be an advantage.
It's deceptive the way it looks. The less sideways they are, the less crazy, full-out, flat-out action.
Wow, talk about action. Bucky Lasek is on a charge right now.
I know, and look at him proving me wrong as he's flat out, hanging the back out, trying to get around Steve Arpin.
Where did he find that speed? That is unbelievable. That is incredible. Here's Ken Block. He is comfortably in the lead by about 5 seconds.
And Lasek, I mean, he qualified number 5 today, but Ken is just on a tear. He's going to be very, very tough to chase down. He's got a substantial lead here.
So the best that Bucky Lasek has done this season is 8th. But here he really does hope to do well. As you said, qualified in 5th position. It really means the Subaru guys have been working super hard to get those machines ready, and they certainly have showed that they've got some speed here this weekend.
We saw them yesterday practicing their starts as we're watching Ken here, again, still on board and watching him as suspension goes. And there's Bucky Lasek on course, got a good lead there on Timur Timurzenov.
But he was chasing down Steve Arpin. He's hoping that he can catch up to Arpin because 2 out of this heat will transfer immediately through to the finals. The rest have to race through a last chance qualifier. Nobody, of course, wants to do that. Right now, dragging at the back of the field is the Dodge of Timur Timurzenov. Has not looked happy at all today.
No, he hasn't. He had some trouble in the practice and qualifying session, nosed in on the jump and took out the whole front end of his car. So his mechanics have been very busy just to get him back out here, and I think maybe he still does not have full power.
So Ken Block comfortably in the lead, a big gap then to Arpin, then another gap to Bucky Lasek. You see the white flag flying. This is the last lap of this heat.
Big gaps on the course as we see Bucky Lasek come over the jump. Looks very good. They've got that car set up to handle the jumps well.
So Ken Block rounds the hairpin. He just has to go through the chicane and he will win this heat. Another heat win in the books for Ken Block. What an amazing race. Look at the gap he put between himself and Arpin. And we're going to take a look at this speed and this time when he comes over the line. And there goes Bucky Lasek. So Arpin 10 seconds down on Ken Block in that heat. Bucky Lasek will unfortunately have to go to the last chance qualifier with Timur Timurzenov. But wow, Ken Block, he doesn't look very happy for just winning that heat in such convincing fashion.
It's pretty hot in those cars as we watch the start again. There's Ken on the inside, defended his line really well, and then just sailed through that corner. Little bit of contact with Arpin, but nothing enough to unsettle the car. Bucky goes in for the joker here and comes out behind Steve Arpin, tags the barrier.
That's why he slowed down just that little bit.
Oh, and then too wide on that corner, just obliterating those barriers. Good thing he was able to recover because that was close.
Bucky Lasek is very, very lucky that they were water barriers there because otherwise that car would have been done. But Ken Block takes another win here, and it's a very, very convincing heat win for Block. He'll be happy about that, and he'll be ready to take that Ford through to our final here tonight. Ken Block and Steve Arpin will advance. Global Rallycross Championship is brought to you by Motegi, designed and engineered for performance, proud suppliers of the Ford Rallycross team. And by Ford, go further. Welcome back, everyone, to Atlanta Motor Speedway and the Global Rallycross Championship. Another steamy night here in Georgia and some great competition that we've already seen in our first two heats. Norway's Sverre Isaksson wowed the crowd at X Games Munich, driving as well on 2 wheels as on 4. And now, with a taste of the podium, winning bronze at X Games, he's hungry for more.
Hi, I'm Sverre Isaksson from Norway, driving the Super Puma Rallycross car, number 11.
Isaksson lead.
In the Norwegian version or an American version? But for you guys, it's very much more easy.
And Isaksson edges through and goes through. The bronze goes to Isaksson.
The favorite part with Rallycross is exactly the Rallycross, you know, the start. More like we have in Europe, you know, more gravel and more dirt and more competition, you know. And you need to fight man to man, side by side. Try to use your head to make a good turn or to make a good break so you can pass him in some way. That's the whole game. I love it.
Oh my goodness me! Isaksson was the man on 2 wheels.
There was racing, you know. That's happening sometimes. 2 wheels was good for our Super Puma to get the picture.
How that car didn't roll, I just don't know.
There was a little bit fight in the first corner. We was going up on barrier there. Luckily, I have a Volkswagen on the right side of me.
Now that was a lucky one from Isaksson. In fact, he lent on the other car of Ekstrom, I think.
Ekstrom maybe helped him out.
So I lean a little bit on him and go back on the wheels. So that was going good. The best so far, Munich and New Hampshire this year is the best track for the whole long time I stay here. You know, the whole last season and for now. So yes, I'm ready.
Well, Jen, that 2-wheel driving for Isaksson, maybe he can get himself a gig as a stunt driver somewhere.
Maybe. So aggressive, though. Great driver.
Well, Sverre Isaksson will be coming up in our last chance qualifier. This week on Sunday Night Baseball, it's an interleague matchup as Evan Longoria and the Tampa Bay Rays take on the Los Angeles Dodgers at 8 Eastern. Then, Monday at 7, Mike Trout and the Angels are in the Bronx to face the New York Yankees. Both games are on ESPN and also live on Watch ESPN. Well, we saw Ken Block win that last heat in exciting fashion, and he's down with Katie right now. Katie. Well, here we are. This grid is set for our heat number 3. Brian Deegan sitting on the inside line there. He is hoping for a great run, and we'll have to see how he starts this one. But right now, we're going to check in with the third member of our team, Alyssa Ronig. Alyssa.
Yeah, Tess, in that first heat, we were all wondering why Sverre Isaksson had pulled off the track in his second lap. Well, we found out he'd been black flagged for the contact with Topi in that first corner. What happened in that first corner?
Topi had a better start than me, and he took my line. He was going sideways in the front of me. I braked for him so he can pass, and it was okay. He was winning the race. So for me, there was no penalty. It was a completely wrong decision.
So what did you think when you heard you'd been black flagged?
I was really mad because I have been in this business for 15 years. I have almost 100 European rounds. I have 3 black flags in my whole career, so I know what is right and wrong.
All right, well, we'll see you in the LCQ, Sverre. Thank you.
Well, that explains the mystery of why it looked like Sverre Isaksson slowed down there. So, okay, he's going to have to battle it out of the last chance qualifying, not where he wants to be, but he's certainly been racing great all day. This one, though, whoa. Brian Deegan and Tanner Faust battling against each other.
And you can see there, Brian Deegan has chosen the inside line, which is interesting. We're seeing them swap back and forth between the inside and the outside line. And also, I'm looking at that outside car, that Red Bull car on the outside, which is Henning Solberg. That's the first time we're seeing him today.
Green lights come on, and the race is underway. And that's a good start for Tanner Faust. And look at Henning Solberg try and creep through on the inside. Solberg through to second in a heartbeat.
Carrying all sorts of momentum there. That was some masterful driving. Just found a line and slid right through it. Oh, And we have Brian Deegan going in the outside, Tanner Faust, and Henning from the inside.
There? He really slammed on the brakes before he got to get into that joker, and is it because he just didn't get enough time on this course because the car broke down?
He didn't have a chance to come into this course in the first heats. He had a mechanical problem with the fuel pump. But you know what? I think he was trying to brake to get a nice clean line, slow in, fast out in a corner, and that's what he was trying to do on the shortcut.
And amazing, Henning Solberg had a problem with that car. He actually didn't get to run his first heat, so he is very happy to be running this one. But Brian Deegan now jumps into that joke and wow, almost takes out one of those hydro barriers on the end. Tanner Faust, though, just floating out there in front.
Brian Deegan, a very aggressive driver and very comfortable on this dirt. This dirt is rutting up. It's different every lap and a big challenge to drive on. But Brian Deegan's not having any of those problems. You can see him here sliding through the corners.
But he's being chased by Dave Mir, and I've got to say, these Subarus have been incredibly impressive this weekend. Looking super fast. Both Sverre, Bucky, and Dave have been doing well there. Hard braking for Brian Deegan as he came out of the hairpin. Mira is trying to catch up to him.
You can see what a huge advantage it is to get out front first. When there's that much room, you just get lots of clean air, run your clean race, and just extend your lead. Very hard to get caught up to with Tanner way in the front.
Deegan is being chased down there by Dave Mira, and Mira, just like Bucky Lasik in that last heat, somehow is finding this extra speed and is catching up to Deegan's Ford.
Impressive to see the development on the Subaru. Seems to have come a long way, especially before this particular race. But Deegan is so fast. He's very collected here as we see him come through. Late braking from Dave, and he's getting the advantage on the tarmac. That's very interesting.
Wow, this is really exciting. Dave Mira is chasing down Brian Deegan for second place. Remember, 2 transfers straight through to the final. The rest have to fight the last chance qualifier. Dave Mira wants to get his automatic final guarantee, and whoa, goes wide exactly where Bucky Lasik tagged the wall.
Very tough when you're chasing down like that. We're on board with Brian Deegan. You can see him 4th gear, going up a gear, and now he's going to go down into the chicane and brake for this jump. So it's a real popper. Oh, and that looks like he was passing Solberg, who seems to be having a problem. That's too bad, because that was a great start for him.
Yeah, we saw a yellow flag flying, so no idea what happened to Henning Solberg's car, but that Dodge is rolling off the course then, normally driven by Bryce Menzies, but Bryce isn't with us this weekend, and Henning is taking over in that car, so he has not had fun at this race for sure.
We'll see him again in the LCQ, but they had a fuel pump issue earlier today, and that's sort of symptomatic. If he's slowing down, he just can't quite keep it together up speed here.
So the white flag is flying. This is the final lap. Can Dave Mira somehow find a way around Brian Deegan, whose car seems to get wider and wider on every lap? But I am super impressed at the speed of these Subarus and the fact that Mira now is really charging down on Deegan, trying to find any way through so he can take that second place.
All the water on the windshield there. Tanner Faust doesn't have to worry about any of that as he comes into the checker.
And it looks like it's going to be Brian Deegan through the chicane to take that second spot, so he will transfer. Dave Mira is going to have to fight his way out of that last chance qualifier to gain the final spots in the final. But Tanner Faust out in front, kept racing clean. Look at the windshield, look at the car. The car isn't even dirty.
Just immaculate there for Tanner Faust, and that's an all-important heat win point, which is critical as we get well into the second half of the championship here.
And when you look at that start, you see Tanner Faust in the middle there. He just gets a good jump, gets into that corner early. But Henning Solberg, wow, that is some great driving.
The car has a lot of power, those Dodge starts, and he just used every ounce of it to try and get caught up. Brian Deegan in the start here. You can see Tanner Faust out of the corner of his eye on the left, get in front of him. And whoa, where did that guy come from?
And then Brian Deegan, you see here, is behind Henning. He dives into that joker and dives in there at pretty high speed. Look at this. I thought he was going to tag the end of this thing. Just misses it.
Good speed through there for him. And we can see as they cross the checker here, there's Tanner Faust.
So Tanner Faust, another convincing win for him. He goes through to the final with that heat win with Brian Deegan, his teammate. So They both get to sit and rest a while. There won't even be a lot for the mechanics to do on Faust's car. The thing is so clean. So the 3 heats of Global Rallycross Championship are in the books here in Atlanta, but we have lots more racing still to come. Be sure to join us as GRC continues.
I'm Tanner and this is...
I'm Steve.
That's amazing. Okay, we're at the Seacrest Studios at the Children's Healthcare Center in Atlanta.
That's a cool hat.
That was awesome. Just visiting some kids, having some fun.
Having a lot of good laughs too. So many cool kids coming out to see us tonight, signing autographs, just playing, being kids ourselves.
And it's great to see the drivers giving back to the community like that, Jen.
It feels so great to be able to go out and do that. The drivers love it too, I think almost as much as the kids do.
Well, Tanner Faust told me he had a lot of fun doing that, and he's right now down with our own Katie Osborne. Katie.
He is down here, and that was seemingly a great event for you, just like that heat race out there. What was that like for you going out there and having such a great race?
It was, I think I got a good start, and Brian had to choose the inside. A lot of guys have been winning from the inside lane, but a lot of guys have been winning the start from the middle, and that's what I was on. And I just got him in the first corner, and it was just tricky for him to pass after that. Still pretty ruddy and muddy, but we're learning a lot for that 10-lap final.
Now, that was an extra point for you going into the championship. How important is that for you the rest of the season?
Honestly, Toppy has a pretty big lead on the championship, but 2, 3, and even 4 are very, very tight. So that extra point could make all the difference at the end of the year, so you got to take them if you can get them.
Now, your car is exceptionally clean coming off of that race. Are you going to do any changes, heading into the final?
I was wondering why my mechanics are smiling so much. I think it has to do with the car being clean. We are not going to make any suspension changes. Actually, one little tweak just because the jump flies a little bit longer now. But other than that, it's just going to be a matter of ponying up on the start and seeing what happens in turn 1.
All right, and then now it's over to Alyssa, who is with Brian Deegan.
Yeah, Brian, we heard Tanner talk about lane choice. That was your lane choice. You guys have been flip-flopping. Why did you take the inside there?
Yeah, I had the first choice, and I thought, you know what? I just seen Ken a whole shot from the inside lane, and I know Tanner's a good starter. I was like, if we come out even, which we do a lot of times, I'm going to have the inside. And it's just kind of rolling the dice, gambling, and it didn't work out, I should have probably stayed to the middle lane, but you know what? We're both in the final. The battle's yet to come. You know what I'm saying?
So you guys are teammates, but you might become a little less of the giving him a lane choice.
Yeah, yes. I've learned a lot from Tanner, but at this point, we're definitely battling, and we're teammates, but we have friendly battles. We share the same motorhome, so it's like we got to sit and talk to each other after. So we try not to run into each other, but lane choice, we want to get the whole shot. It's bragging rights,
Sure, of course. And talking about a battle out there, the battle for second, at what point did you realize Deegan was back there? Mira was back there.
No, it was a good battle. My spotter, Corey Cruzman, kept telling me, hey, Mira's right on you. And I started making mistakes. I'm like, oh, it just wasn't like me. I'm like, oh, man, sliding here or there, giving him a shot. I'm like, all right, pull it together, do some smooth laps, get away. Because Mira's aggressive, he'll put it in there. It's for the last qualifying spot, so I knew I had to protect it. So It's a good race. That's what it's all about.
Thanks, Deegan.
Thanks, Alyssa. Two guys with just a massive amount of X Games medals. Brian Deegan and Dave Mira battling it out there. But I like what Brian said. The battle is yet to come. A Global Rallycross Championship is brought to you by Puma, the official apparel and footwear supplier for Global Rallycross. And by Subaru. Love is what makes a Subaru a Subaru. beautiful Atlanta Motor Speedway. Looks very, very different here today. The track temp when we started on the asphalt was 105.2 degrees. And you can see all that dirt covering what is normally the NASCAR front stretch. And we're getting ready for the grid here in our last chance qualifier. This is it, the final chance to get in to the final. But quick, let's go down for an update with Katie Osborne.
Patrick Scandell is actually out on the track for the LCQ. This is a really exciting thing for him because they literally just replaced everything within an hour and 15 minutes or so. That is usually a 2-hour job, so we are so excited to see Patrick Scandell out on the track for the LCQ.
Thanks, Katie. Yeah, that's an amazingly fast engine change. In an hour and 15 minutes, they had to do the whole engine. He blew a motor earlier today. Incredible work from his mechanics.
An entire engine came out of that car, went back into that car, and he's ready to race. That is how phenomenal these guys are.
Imagine taking that into your dealer. Hey, I need a new engine in an hour and 15 minutes.
Well, the front row there is all Subaru, as it should be, because they really had amazing heat races, but didn't quite make the transfer spots. Lassick, Isaacson, and Mira, interestingly enough, Isaacson, who's super fast off the gun, right in the middle of the group.
And not a bad place to be. We've seen that from that starting position, that can be an advantage. Although it was Lassick that got the choice there, and he took the traditional #1 starting position.
And then we go to the back row there where we see Scandell with the replaced engine, and of course the two Dodge Darts of the Red Bull team, Timur Zanoff and Henning Solberg. And Solberg having all kinds of challenges. He certainly has the skill to be a spoiler here, but really hasn't had a fun time with the equipment today.
I really hope that his car holds together, because if it does, he can be a contender. Even from that back row, I wouldn't count him out. Very, very fast. We saw him in the heat, his first heat today, and just didn't quite have it. The car failed him, so hopefully he'll be able to put in a good show from the back row.
And there's 4-time gold medal winner in vert this year, Bucky Lassick. Bucky hoping for a great result here. He wants to get into that final, because he wants to do better than the 8th place that he's got so far this year. Here we go. Green lights are coming on. We're underway. Look at the jump from Sverre Isaacson, and Lassick is stuck on the line.
Oh, too bad for Lassick. Whoa! Speaking of jumps, Patrick Scandell, all 4 wheels in the air, but it looks like we'll see if he can recover. Oh, no! And another problem for the Dodge Dart as he spins off the course.
Scandell, that just wasn't fair for him. He really was hoping for something. They replaced the engine. They worked so brutally hard, and he went straight into that berm. Oh, man. So it was looking good for a little while, but unfortunately, Scandell doesn't look like he's going to transfer through.
And that's the number 199 car in the lead there, Timur Zanoff, followed by Isaacson and Dave Mira, who's been looking very good on the course today.
Well, being chased down by the Subaru, but Timur Zanoff, we said he wasn't having fun, wasn't enjoying himself from what we saw, but right now that Dodge Dart has got a good gap between the two Subarus chasing it down.
Looks like they were able to put that car back together. He nosed in very heavily on the jump earlier today, and they had to do a bunch of front end work to repair the car. I think they didn't quite have it for him in his heat, but it looks like they have it now.
Oh, look at that. Mira is trying to get around Sverre Isaacson. Isaacson took a punt, and that door is actually open. The passenger door on Sverre Isaacson's Puma Subaru is open.
I don't think they'll pull him off for that, but I got to tell you, having had that happen in competition before, that is very distracting when you go around a corner and your door swings open.
So Mira then went through and he took the Joker lap, which Isaacson had already taken, so he moves in front of Sverre Isaacson. Now they're going to have to fight each other. 3 cars will transfer from this heat. And there are 3 cars, and you see all the debris in their way. There's just pieces of cars and actual cars everywhere on this Atlanta track.
The smart thing to do here, these 3 cars that advance, they will start in the last row of the final if they advance. So the smart thing to do here is just hold it together and get to that last row.
And Dave Mira has not made a final all season, so he'll be overjoyed to see that white flag. He has 1 lap left. He's sitting in 2nd place behind Timur Zanoff, and he's trying to fight for the lead. This might be a big mistake for Mira. Wow, he's going for the lead, and he gets past the Dart of Timur Zanoff.
Oh, wow, crazy pass. Look at all the power that these cars are putting down. They've done a ton of development. It looks like even between X Games last weekend in this race, and they're just putting the power down.
Timur Timurzenov, dodge dart. He's trying to find his way past, but he's not going to find it past Dave Mirra, who is charging hard to come through the chicane. One more turn left, and he will win the last chance qualifier. Timurzenov gets second. Sverre Isaksson is back through and into the final with a third place. But wow, I thought Dave Mirra would just be comfortable and happy to make the final, but he proved me wrong, and he charged past Timurzenov on the dirt.
Dave Mirra's incredibly competitive, and you give him a chance, and he looks like, if it looks like he can get an advantage, he'll take it. Amazing driving from him to come all the way back up to the front. Look at all this craziness on the start. Watch that Ford in the back, all four wheels in the air.
There goes that engine, and then as we come around the corner, Sverre Isaksson parks Henning Solberg. Watch this. Here we go, and Isaksson, with the door still open, just gives a little punt to that 99 Red Bull Dodge. Oh man, Isaksson, the door was open right from the start. He took that knock. And here, the shortcut, the Joker.
And there's how it's supposed to work. Dave Mirra goes into the shorter lap. He's got to take it once. He took it there and got a place.
And here, this is where I absolutely did not think Dave Mirra would make a move.
Just a crazy move. All three of these cars, if they can get there, are going to advance to the final. And there he goes, making a very risky pass in the dirt section. But there he goes. It worked for him. First across the line in the LCQ.
So there are all three LCQ finishers that go through to the final. Mirra, Timurzenov, and Sverre Isaksson. So we will see them again in the final. Unfortunately for Sandell, Bucky Lasek, and Henning Solberg, we will not see them in the final. Well, great heat racing in LCQ, but coming up, something really exciting, the GRC Lights Final from here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Be sure to come back and join us to see that.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Atlanta Motor Speedway and Global Rallycross Championship here on ESPN. We've already had some incredibly exciting racing and more still to come. Speaking of racing, with just 5 races left until the chase for the Cup, the circuit heads to Watkins Glen as Jimmy Johnson and company look to tame the famous road course. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Watkins Glen, Sunday at noon on ESPN, also available on Watch ESPN. Should be some great racing from the Glen tomorrow, but more incredible racing still to come here in Atlanta. Earlier today, we had what I think is one of the most exciting new categories here at Global Rallycross Championship. It's called the GRC Light Series, and this is how we call the GRC Lights Final. Okay, let's take a look at the Royal Purple starting grid there. Joni Veman on this front row along with Sebastian Eriksson. And Veman so dominant this year in the lights category. 3 straight wins, Jen.
Absolutely. He's going to be tough to beat. Protege of Marcus Grönholm. So he's got some little coaching in his back pocket.
And there you see Reynes Nitis and Kevin Eriksson. And Kevin Eriksson is the son of Andreas Eriksson, the leader of the Olsberg's MSE clan, who has all of those great drivers in the supercar category under his tent. This is going to be a great race. This is a tough track for these lights cars, though.
It is, with all of that loose dirt. It gets really rutted up, and these cars have a little less power than the supercars do, and it's tough for them to power through that stuff. They are all-wheel drive. They are quite powerful, but still, with all that loose stuff, it's harder for them.
Lights are coming on. The blue lights you see on the left-hand side, that is Joni Veman. The green angry lights behind him, Alexander Westland. And here we go, and Veman gets another good start, but Sebastian Eriksson is challenging him into the first corner.
Look at those guys door to door, a little bit of tapping there. The cars are identical. They all have exactly the same horsepower. It is all down to driving, and you can see that when they pull into the straightaway there and nobody gets a nose in.
So going into the Joker, they'll take the shortcut. That is Sebastian Eriksson, closely followed by Joni Veman. And the most amazing thing about this category of racing, as you said, Jen, the cars are identical, which means it's all about the driver and the driver's skills. There you see the Latvia car coming by of Reynes Nitis, and he is holding off De Jong, and this is a good battle for third going on now.
Nitis there has been competing in the European Rallycross Championship in the Super 1600s, which is a 2-wheel drive category. He's very competitive there, doing a good job of holding off De Jong.
So Nitis trying to hold off De Jong, and right now, De Jong is going under for his run down on the Joker. See, he will get out into that third place position, so a good move there. Oh, and look at this, Joni Veman going wide, trying to take the outside on Eriksson.
Just going to try and find a place anywhere, and man, those cars over the jump, it's crazy. They have a shorter wheelbase, and they just pop over the jump. It's a really steep takeoff, and it's been doing kind of a lot of damage. These guys are making it.
Well, Joni Veman trying to find his way around. There you see the Red Bull car of De Jong in third position, but this is quite a battle for first place. Remember, Eriksson has been on the podium twice. He was second in New Hampshire, third in Los Angeles, so he knows how to hold Joni Veman off, but so far it has been a tough season for anybody holding off Veman.
Veman is so smooth, so collected, just 19 years old, but it competed in Formula Renault, and of course, you know, with coaching from Marcus Grönholm, 2-time World Rally champion.
Not a bad coach to have. If Grönholm's the guy in your corner, you got to feel like you're doing well. And something about these Finnish drivers, Thomas Heikkinen in our Supercar Series, Veman here, they've been so dominant. They've won so much this year, and Veman's still trying to find a way around. And oh, looks like he managed to get him on the approach to the jump.
Looking at great driving from De Jong. You know, he's only 15 years old, and he's got to deal with his parents. As long as he keeps his grades up, he's allowed to keep racing.
So there we have it. Joni Veman gets in front. That's bad news for everybody else, because this guy is incredibly fast, but Sebastian Eriksson is not giving up much ground. Great to see this. Eriksson is going to fight him all of the way through to the finish. He's now going to try and find a way around. I don't know how Veman found his way around through the chicane onto that jump. Such tight racing, but somehow he managed to negotiate his way around it all. Oh, and the front end of Eriksson's car comes off.
There goes the bumper, not doing any damage. Gives you a good look at the inside of the car. The cars are purpose-built, and you can see some of the frame there.
Wow! Oh, Eriksson on the inside tackles Veman, and he gets to go through for the lead. What a great move!
Hanging guys are not pulling any punches here with these cars. Amazing racing.
This is racing at its absolute finest with the guys perfectly matched. You got the 19-year-old Johnny Veman, who now passes 20-year-old Sebastian Eriksson again.
All down to driving, and we're seeing the drivers' strengths here as they pass in different areas of the track. Veman is very good on the tarmac.
Yeah, Eriksson certainly seems super strong on this dirt.
Yep, and these are the two different driving styles. The cars are identical.
Okay, so there, Johnny Veman getting a little lead out on that tarmac, and Sebastian Eriksson, with the pieces of his car that left, is now trying to hold off the hard-charging De Jong right behind him.
De Jong has plenty of experience in short course off-road and buggy racing. He's only 15 years old, but he's definitely a star to watch.
Wow, look at that. Oh, giving him a little bit of a nudge.
Speaking of buggy experience, it's the kind of thing I would not expect to see from a lights car driver.
Wow, this is amazing. As these two fight for second place, this is going to allow Johnny Veman a chance to take a little bit of a hop and get off the front. You can see he's opened that gap a little bit. But this really is a fight for second place. And De Jong looking for the inside. Can he take the lead going into the chicane? One of them is going to have to give up ground.
Neither one's doing it. Oh, wow.
That was incredible. Sebastian Eriksson just punts De Jong out to the side, but Mitchell De Jong is not going to give up. The 15-year-old plucky driver here trying to force his way around, but he has to watch himself because he may lose that third position.
Kevin Eriksson's definitely pushing there as he goes through a tough block. I don't know, if I was De Jong's spotter, I'd tell him to take it a little bit easy. He's costing himself time there, and he's got to start worrying about a black flag. That bumper-to-bumper contact is not what we like to see.
Mitchell De Jong is in an Eriksson sandwich. Sebastian Eriksson, the red car in front, the white car of Kevin Eriksson behind him. But look at the speed that he has. Going into the chicane, sets up for the turn. And is he going to get past Eriksson? No, not quite enough.
Wow, big moves there as they head into their final lap.
Oh, this is incredible. They're just digging their way through this deep dirt, and Kevin Eriksson now is challenging Mitchell De Jong. You see that Sebastian Eriksson has that little bit of a lead, but braking late. Mitchell De Jong, look at this. Clean air right now for Johnny Veman as he goes past the white flag to take his last lap. And here again, coming into the chicane, no room for De Jong to get past, but he's going to try it again on the jump. Great setup one more time.
That is a risky move in those cars.
Has he got the speed on the outside?
No.
And the crowd here in Atlanta is going absolutely nuts now. Kevin Eriksson is in the mix. Eriksson spun sideways. Oh, De Jong off the side of the course.
So much action, I can't even keep up. This is amazing driving Kevin Eriksson there. But that battle is still raging.
It's one more chance. Here comes Johnny Veman through the chicane. Will take the checkered flag and another win. 4 straight wins for Johnny Veman. And here we go into the chicane. De Jong found a way past, and he will take second over Sebastian Eriksson. Unbelievable racing to the checkered flag in our GRC Lights division.
Just crazy. This is a class that was developed to help drivers come up in the ranks of Rallycross, and if we're looking at future stars, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to see these guys in supercars.
Oh man, look at that. Johnny Veman, he takes that checkered flag. 4 wins so far this season, and it was all about this start where Eriksson and Veman were really fighting.
Identical cars, evenly matched. It's just about the driving through this first corner, and neither of them is giving up an inch. Look at them battling door to door there.
Oh, look at that. Sebastian Eriksson now has lost that front bumper, just bouncing over the super deep dirt on our Atlanta GRC track. And there you see Mitchell De Jong coming into the background. Oh, this was fantastic, evenly matched racing. I love this pass here Veman makes.
As he comes up on the tarmac, this is his strength, this is his forte, and he just manages to get through and hold the line.
A little bit of beating and banging here. The battle for second, Mitchell De Jong in the blue car, the red car is Eriksson. De Jong looking for the outside. He's going into 10th grade this year. He takes some classes online, so, well, obviously he's spending enough time in the race car there, and here Johnny Veman takes that checkered flag for his 4th straight GRC Lights win, and this fantastic move right at the end for 15-year-old Mitchell De Jong to take second over Sebastian Eriksson. There you have the results, Jan.
Joni Wiemann, Mitchell, Sebastian Eriksson, Alexander Westland, Kevin Eriksson, and Rinus Nettis.
Fantastic racing in our lights division. More to come from supercars next. Global Rallycross Championship is brought to you by Sylvania ZXE high-octane headlights. And by GoPro, the world's most versatile camera.
Unstoppable at the moment. Haikkonen is trying to go through and he leads. The youngster from Finland is flying. There's one thing you've got to remember. If you want to win, get a Finn.
Thank you, Munich.
Ready to launch here, New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Haikkonen is going to win in New Hampshire.
Choppy flexing a little loud and muscle here.
Topi Haikkonen wins his third global rallycross event in a row. Victory in Thunder Valley.
Haikkonen at this point is so far ahead, and he's looking to make it 4 in a row.
Is there no stopping this Finn at the moment? This is a start not for the future. This is a start for the 21st century. Haikkonen comes across the line. He is the first ever double gold medalist in Rallycross in X Games. The man who is on top of the world here in Los Angeles is Thomas Haikkonen.
Thank you.
Thomas Haikkonen has looked so convincing this year, and really is time for him to make the difference and get the 5th win if he can go for it here today. Tons of action coming, but let's take a look right now at a Puma race summary of what's been going on here today in Atlanta.
Here's the start of the first heat. Watch Sverre on the inside here. Controversial call. He got a penalty for that tap he made on Topi Heikkinen, who came through out front.
Here the onboard from Sverre Isaksson. You'll see Heikkinen gets turned in front of him, and really Isaksson nowhere to go, but black flag. He had to sit in the penalty box, which allowed Heikkinen to get the easy win in the heat.
Heat 2. Ken Block is the man to watch here as he gets out front. Great driving from him as he gets the power down.
And then Bucky Lasek, who looked so good and so powerful for a little while, just a little bit wild, tags the wall, and unfortunately doesn't make it through the last chance qualifier. Block, an easy win in that heat.
Heat 3 teammates, Brian Deegan and Tanner Faust, yellow and gray. They're battling it through the first corner. Tanner Faust comes out in front, but boy, there's a challenge on the inside.
And here, Brian Deegan goes for the shortcut in front of Henning Solberg, and Brian Deegan manages to hang on to that spot. Faust wins the heat. Deegan gets second. They both transfer easily through to the final. Everybody else is in the last chance qualifier.
Poor start for Bucky Lasek. Unfortunately, he's left on the line while there's a battle up front. That's Dave Mirren, number 2, and number 1, Timur Timurzenov.
And there you see Sverre Isaksson is going on the long cut, but Dave Mira is on the shortcut. He passes Isaksson for second and then goes to attack Timurzenov.
He didn't want to settle for second, so he's going to try and make it first, and he does it right there.
Dave Mira putting in a great race there in the LCQ, and he is down with Alyssa Ronig.
Yeah, Tess, I talked to him right after that race. This is his first final all year. I said, but Dave, you're into the final. Why go for the win? He said, you know what? I don't get many chances to race like that. I want to know if I had it in me. And who knows, I may never have the chance again. Well, hopefully he'll have another chance here in this final. Katie?
Yeah, Ken Block is also starting in the front row. He rolled his car in practice, and he finished first in his heat. Let's see if he can carry that success as he's been the most successful on the inside lane today.
Thanks to Alyssa and Katie. Let's take a look at our Royal Purple starting grid for our GRC Supercar final here from Atlanta tonight. What an unbelievable front row, Jan.
So competitive. Ken Block on the inside, Topi Heikkinen in the middle, and Tanner Faust on the outside. That was Topi's choice to start in the middle.
And the most amazing thing there, Ken Block has never won a Rallycross race, and Tanner Faust hasn't won one this year.
And the second row, we had Brian Deegan, Arpin, and Speed. And in the third row, Mira, Timur Timurzenov, and Isaksson.
So this is going to be an interesting start. There are now 9 cars on this grid, and we've seen they go into that tight dirt section. Who is going to get the whole shot? Let's take a look. Oh, bad start for Ken Block.
The whole shot, there's Topi and Tanner Faust fighting through that first corner, and as usual, all sorts of mess as people get tied up in the water barriers there, and Topi comes out clean. He does it every time.
Both Topi and Tanner Faust now going into the joke of the shortcut. This is bad news for everybody else with the Finn out in front. So there is Faust and Deegan in second and third. They're going to need to charge to catch this kid.
Boy, they're going to try. They don't want to make it easy for him. But when he gets out front, he has proven incredibly hard to reel in.
The spin there for Dave Mira by Scott Speed. Speed got into the back of Mira and just kept driving him around the corner. Now Sverre Isaksson in the blue and yellow Subaru is trying to get past Speed.
Battling through here. There's Isaksson outbraking Speed into that corner a little bit, making a good clean pass.
So Sverre Isaksson passes Scott Speed there, but Speed is going to keep dogging them. Meanwhile, Thomas Heikkinen still out in the lead. There you see Isaksson and Speed over the jump. And that was just carnage at the start there, and the most unfortunate start in the final. Again, just a disaster at the start for Ken Block.
It's been very hard as we see Topi Heikkinen out front here and Tanner Faust in the number 2 position. Those are huge gaps developing. It's going to be very, very tough to reel him in.
Well, there we see the jump from Heikkinen. There is Faust, and Faust knows how to race, and he knows how to win one of these, so he will keep chasing down Heikkinen. And
it looks like he's made up a little bit of ground there, but it's so hard to tell in the dirt. And there's Ibrahimović. He's currently sitting in 5th position, trying to hold off Scott Speed. What I'm hearing is getting a black flag penalty there for a little bit of contact earlier, and we'll have to make a stop.
It wasn't just a little bit of contact. He literally drove Dave Mirra right up the side of the course there. He never let up and gave Dave a chance to get out of that. So I think definitely a black flag that Scott Speed deserves. And that was sad for Dave Mirra, who put in such a great charge in the LCQ.
We're used to seeing so much contact here. Perhaps I downplayed it a little bit, but he's going to have to report to the penalty box. Meanwhile, we have a good clean battle up front here. Topi Heikkinen being chased down by Tanner Faust.
This is a close battle. Faust is really making up some time and some speed on Heikkinen. I don't know how, because normally when Topi is out front, he is unbeatable. But Tanner Faust is chasing him down as hard as he possibly can.
Very, very tough to chase him down, especially from that chase position. It's hard. You can see here, we're looking at all sorts of dirt coming off of Topi Heikkinen's rear wheels, and when Tanner gets close enough, he'll just have a windshield full of dirt. It's very hard to get around that, but he's going to try.
Thing here, from what I'm looking at, I thought that Tanner Faust had already taken that Joker lap. It's not showing on our scoring monitors, but correct me if I'm wrong, Faust actually followed Heikkinen through there.
I believe he did, but we'll have to check and see that. Don't think it's going to be easy either way. Topi Heikkinen's got a pretty substantial lead, but in his ear, his spotter, Topi's spotter, is in the grandstand saying, got a good lead, just hold it. And
problem for Brian Deegan here off the side of the course. He was in 3rd place, and he is now retired. It doesn't look like he can get that thing refired. Oh, he's off again. What are you thinking here, Jen?
He's trying to restart the car, and he's trying to get it fired, and it just keeps stalling, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But there's Tanner Faust trying to reel him in. That makes that corner just a little bit smaller.
And the interesting thing is the big berms on the side of the course here have kind of been blown out with all this racing, so Faust is getting a chance just to run straight off the dirt onto the tarmac. Look at that. He can see Thomas Heikkinen. He knows he's that close. He is hungry. He wants to catch Heikkinen, because if Heikkinen gets to run away with this, there's potential he could just run away with the entire championship this year.
Yeah, and if Tanner can keep the pressure on, hopefully it's possible that something can happen in the front. That pressure is really hard to race if you know that there's somebody right behind you. If Topi can't keep his head, he might make a mistake, as we saw Tanner do in the last corner.
This is not just a race. This is a championship points battle. Every point counts right now, and Tanner Faust knows that, but Topi Heikkinen is starting to pull away, and this should be moving into, if not the very final lap, one of the last laps. I think it's 2 laps to go right now, so Tanner Faust is going to have to find some incredible speed to catch up to the Flying Finn.
Or the Flying Finn is going to have to make a mistake, but as we've seen him take 4 wins in a row, he just doesn't make mistakes that often. He's been very clean this year. It's tough. Look at all the water on the windshield there as he's looking into the sun. Kind of tough to drive through that.
You also saw he went straight over a tough block, and Tanner Faust having a little bit of trouble out of the corner there, but no problems yet for Thomas Heikkinen. The white flag is flying. Is that smoke coming out of the back of Tanner Faust's car, or was that just brakes? I mean, he has dropped a significant distance from Thomas Heikkinen in 1 lap.
Looks like
it's a flat tire. Oh, disaster for Tanner Faust. He was looking so fast, and now he has lost the front left. So Thomas Heikkinen is coming around the corner. He is going to go through the chicane, and this will be 5 for 5, number 5, the checkered flag for Thomas Heikkinen.
There's Tanner Faust holding it together as he comes to the cross checker.
And is this going to be another podium for Subaru? Yes, Sverre Isaksson takes the bronze at Atlanta. But today, and as it's been for the last 5 races, it's all about this guy, the Finn, Topi Heikkinen. What a fantastic race. He got out in front right from the start, and nobody stood a chance to catch him.
This guy is just unstoppable. Amazing luck and incredible skill combined. Man, Tanner said after the last race that it looked like he must have been feeding his pet leprechaun, and I think we're going to see a little bit of that here on the start.
Story here, Ken Block. He starts and then stalls. Obviously a problem with the launch control, but look at Heikkinen go.
Just holding his line. He had a little bit of extra space because Ken wasn't there with his nose in, and just got out front. So hard to chase him down when he gets out front, as we see on board here with Tanner Faust.
Yeah, Tanner was trying to squeeze through. He thought he might have it. And again, Heikkinen is pushed up on the two wheels, but it doesn't even phase him.
And we see Scott Speed here, a little bit of contact with Dave Mira, and he was penalized for that contact. He had a stop-and-go penalty and a black flag.
And here you see Heikkinen working his way through the dirt. And look at this, coming over all these tough blocks, just bashed out of the way, just carnage on this race course. But it doesn't phase him a little bit, and I love this. Look at the tire off the rim.
So tough to drive, especially it's one of the steering wheels. It's really hard to get around a corner. Tanner did a great job to hold it together and not lose a position.
And Tanner Faust managed to hang on to second place, but it's all about Thomas Topi Heikkinen takes the checkered flag. 5 wins in a row at Global Rallycross. Is this guy just completely unstoppable? Well, Heikkinen celebrating the victory on the top of his car, as he should, because that was a fantastic run for Topi. Yeah, he looks happy, as he should. 5 for 5 in GRC racing. Alyssa Roning has caught up with him.
Yeah, Tess, we got him down from top of his car this time. Topi, it's like deja vu all over again. You in winner's circle again. How did you hold off Tanner Faust?
No, it was so tough for me. Tanner followed me like whole race, and even the spotter told me like every time push we had to make the gap, but I think end of the race we make it, and well made it, and now I'm happy. I really enjoy it. Thanks my blue beam for filter. It's a fire.
Topi, you said if you got the whole shot, you would take the Joker on your first lap. How important was that decision in the end?
Yeah, it was great. It was a great start. I make a good start, and even I take the Joker on the first lap, and that's why I have a little bit like a space, do some kind of space for me, and that was good.
Topi, 5 in a row. The championship is so close. How important would that be to you to win the overall championship?
I win the championship already.
No, I don't. Just asking how important it would be if you do. It's close.
Yeah, it's close for me, but in case, like I had told, that's our style, how we do it, like step by step, race by race. Let's go forward.
What would it mean to you to win the overall championship?
No, it means a lot for me. That's why I'm job. That's why I'm working here. That's why I'm here.
Great, Topi. Thanks so much. Congratulations.
Thanks, Alyssa, for catching up there. And Katie right now is caught up with second place Tanner Faust. Katie.
We are down here with Tanner Faust. That was quite the race for you. At what point did that front left tire decide to make an effort there?
It was 3 laps from the finish. I think I caught something weird on the takeoff on the jump. I felt it, and it just started turning less and less, and then it was a nightmare, really. Like a flat tire in the back you can still go fairly quick with, but a flat tire in the front is really tricky. And I lost my will to fight against right then. I mean, I really was pushing on Topi and closing on him. I knew Deegan was right there. It was a good battle. But yeah, once the flat tire came, now I'm just lucky to be in second, really.
Well, no, that's absolutely great on your end to get another second. We were so close to that first place. What would you have changed in that race if you could have kept going there?
I think, I mean, I had Topi a little bit coming into the braking. Always when you're hunting from second position, you can get the braking a little better than the guy in first. And also on the gravel, I could get a little better. But once I made one mistake and got the flat tire, that was that. But I'll take second place. Topi extends his lead a little bit, but they're really, really good points.
Now one more time here. How important was that first turn for you?
Oh my God, the first turn was insane, right? I mean, it was like a Hail Mary on the outside, back bumper scraping the plastic barriers there. I knew I wasn't going to get Topi in the first corner, but I can't believe I popped out of it in second place. There was so much chaos and everything happening back there. So yeah, it's kind of like that's the main battle. Get that out of the way, now try to finish the race. You know?
Well, we're glad you did finish. You finished second here. Let's go over to Alyssa with Isaacson.
Yes, Sperry, you're smiling a little more than you were the last time we talked.
Yeah.
Last car, last row. How'd you do that?
I was perfect. I was the last car into the grid in Afin. I was fighting so much. I want to be on the podium this time, you know. And you know, the super guys and all the team are working really hard for us now. So, you know, again, podium, third place, like a victory. But to take step by step, I'm really satisfied now. Yeah!
You said it feels like a victory just to be on the podium. You've had 2 big races. Take us through that start, though, coming out of that back row. Just take us through what was going on.
I have a quite good start, and I see the car was everywhere in front of me, and I say, I go for it. I go into that the whole gang of car, and and I won something, and I was car sideways and up on 2 wheels, and then after that I was fighting and fighting and fighting, every lap, and there was a lot of vibration in the car the last 5 laps, so that was really good. That was a really good day of my work.
Great. Well, congratulations. It's nice to see you smiling now.
Thank you.
Back up to you guys.
That is a very, very excited Norwegian there, and I got to say, the way he fought through that carnage was just amazing.
Basically impossible to come back from the back. And look, 1, 2, 3, Heikkinen, Faust, Isaacson, exactly the same podium we saw last weekend at X Games.
And that was so good. But Dave Mira, look at this. Unfortunate for Mira, he got kind of turned off the side there by speed, and he never really got a chance to regain it, but that's great for the Subarus. Like we said, they really look like they are firing on all cylinders, and they are in the hunt. And the championship still alive. Topi hasn't locked it up yet.
So close. Can't wait to see how it all shakes out this season.
Oh, look at that. Everyone taking the congratulations down there. Big relief for Heikkinen. And there, Tanner Faust, like he said, he's pleased with second, and he was so close for a while, but once that tire released from the rim, he really didn't stand much of a chance.
Just about impossible to drive when you've got one of your steering wheels flat, when you've got your outside left wheel, and you got to make a ton of rights. That is not an easy thing to do, so he did an excellent job to hold it together and cross the line in second.
Well, some great racing from the Atlanta Motor Speedway here today. Coming up next on ESPN2, it's the men's Rogers Cup semifinal from Montreal. Rafael Nadal versus Novak Djokovic. Global Rallycross apparel provided by Puma. Well, that's it from here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Big congratulations to Thomas Heikkinen. We want to say so long from Atlanta. Now, let's get you to tennis.